indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried, congratulations.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda today is several appointments of city officials, department heads. Mr. Phillip,
Yes, I'd like to recommend that all current department heads be reappointed for 2023.
is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second, we'll reappoint all current department heads for 2023. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried. City attorney, Mr. Sears is our current city attorney. Is there a motion to reappoint
So
Mr.
moved.
Sears in his absence? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, we reappoint Mr. Sears, city attorney. Any discussion?
I haven't heard from him.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried, thank you. Municipal court judge is currently Clay Collins. Is there a motion to reappoint?
So
Mr.
moved.
Collins? Okay, motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, thank you. The next item is municipal court judge pro tem, Mr. Rufus Smith Jr.
So moved.
Okay. Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, thank you. Municipal court solicitor, Danielle Sewell.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second. We reappoint Danielle Sewell as the municipal court solicitor. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. The municipal public defender, David Taylor. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Before we begin our reports from boards and commissions with all the appointments we have with us today visiting and bringing gifts, that is at your seat, the executive director of Explore Noonan Coweta, Heather Daniel.
Yes,
Heather,
sir.
how are you
Hey.
today? This is the swag that they have, Explore Noonan Coweta has come up with help from marketing and their board approval. And Ms. Heather, I'll let you explain it to us.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to present our new brand and some collateral pieces to you. As you are the political stewards of our community, your support in this effort is extremely vital, and we hope to continue building upon that relationship as we grow as an organization and grow our awareness as the destination. Promise I'll be brief, but I do want to highlight our newly launched brand, our visitor's guide, which a copy is sitting in front of you, as well as our website. So for the past year, we have worked to create an identity. Do I point anywhere in particular? There we go, okay. We have worked to create an identity that encapsulates all that our community offers, which was no easy task. I'm sure if you were to ask everyone in this room what they feel our biggest asset is, you would probably get a different answer from everybody. But that also means that we have a great deal to offer to a multitude of target audiences. We work to craft an aesthetic and messaging that not only conveys what currently exists in our community, but also looks to the future and what our destination wants to be. Through research, focus groups, and boots-on-the-ground experiences, we determined that we are eclectic, we are adventurous, we have passion, we are down to earth, we are historic, we are vibrant, we are progressive, and we are aspirational. Our brand speaks to each of these. The simple text-only mark is hand-drawn to resonate with not only adventurers, but those seeking a relaxing getaway. We have an earthy, welcoming color palette, pardon me, that represents all areas of the community, from vibrant artistic scenes to playful but peaceful retreats. Our brand speaks to each of these. All of these elements encourage the traveler to discover their curious. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's our mantra for living. It's for exploring more of what our county has to offer and finally showcasing what Alan Jackson has been talking about for all these years. We have created a variety of elements that can be utilized in different circumstances, such as the icon library you see here, patterns and typography for both print and web. Having these elements in place as we designed all of these pieces, including our website and visitors guides, would be key to creating an identity that builds brand equity with our visitors as well as residents. It'll drive all future designs, so we build cohesiveness rather than disjointed materials. As you see here, our visitor's guide, we wanted it to be more than just a listings directory. or just something that listed dining options and places to go and a hotel listing. We wanted to have community features, top 10 list, articles, and highlights on our history, dining, activities, and how people can truly discover they're curious. We also designed a perforated map that's in the center of the guide that you can tear out and use for reference, or if you're like me, just trying to figure out all the one-way streets in downtown. And also, just before the holidays, we launched our website and our social channels. In addition to the visitor's guide, we wanted a robust, one-stop shop for all things to do in Coweta County. From everything from film tours and dining options to lodging and itineraries, you can find it all here. Local organizations even have the opportunity to submit events on the website to be included in our calendar. All forms of advertising and PR efforts will drive traffic to this website, and we hope that residents will also use it as your guide for discovering your own curious in our backyard. It will serve as our primary marketing tool and continue to be updated as we gain businesses, create content such as blog posts, gain media exposure, and provide tourism experiences. So we look forward to showcasing our destination to the world, and thank you for your vital support of not only Explore Newnan, but tourism itself.
We appreciate that report. Any questions of Ms. Daniel while she's here? She's been hard at work for the last 18 months or so, or longer, I guess. And we, of course, Cletus and I serve on that board, and we appreciate the council's willingness to let us do that. But you're doing a great job, and
Thank you.
we look forward to better things in the future.
I look forward to future reports.
Yeah,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. All right, so the reports from boards and commissions today is a long list of appointments to the boards or reappointments. The first, Councilman Gion, we have Cultural Arts Commission.
Next meeting, please.
All right. The next is an appointment to the Housing Authority that is just the mayor's appointment, and I'm going to reappoint Antoine Martin to the Housing Authority Board. There's no vote needed there. The next, Mr. Shell, Keep Newnan Beautiful.
We put it on the next agenda, please.
All right, thank you. And the next, Mr. Kretko.
Next agenda as well, please.
All right, thank you. And the next, I have contacted Ms. Yancey, but I've not heard back from her, so we'll need to put that on our next agenda. The next, Mr. DeBose, Parks Commission.
Yes, I'd like to renominate Martin Smith.
Second.
All right, motion to second, we renominate Martin Smith to serve another term on the Parks Commission. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is Clay McIntyre. This is my appointment to the Planning Commission. I would like to reappoint Mr. McIntyre.
Second.
Motion is second. We will reappoint Mr. McIntyre to the Planning Commission. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. The next, Ms. Jenkins, Alton West on the Planning Commission.
I need that on the next agenda. I haven't contacted him yet.
All right, thank you. And then Mr. Shell, Mr. Fred Hamlin on the Planning Commission.
Put it on the next agenda, please.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Kretko, Tree Commission.
Next agenda as well, please.
All right, thank you. And then Mr. Alexander has already informed me the next agenda for the Tree Commission appointment.
Thank you.
And then the next, J.R. Roberts is my appointment. I'd like to reappoint Mr. Roberts to the Tree Commission.
Second.
Motion is second. We reappoint Mr. J.R. Roberts to the Tree Commission. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. And then Mr. Gion on youth activities.
Next agenda, please.
All right, thank you. Okay, that ends the appointments of boards and commissions today. The next item by the city manager is to schedule the city floating holiday for 2023. Mr. Phillips.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recommend President's Day for 2023.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. We schedule the floating holiday for city employees as President's Day of 2023. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. I don't have anything today. Under new business, this is a public hearing for alcohol license at the Redneck Inc. Retail premise pouring sales, distilled spirits, malt beverages, and wine, 11 North Court Square. The reason for this is the addition of distilled spirits, and that this is a public hearing that I have opened on this issue at this time, and would like to know if anyone would like to come forward to speak to the issue. Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask Ms. Megan, everything in order? Thank you. All right, is a representative here? Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here, Casey. All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. We approve the application as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. The next item is also a public hearing. It's an application for alcohol beverage license, Noonan 2022 Inc., retail premise package sales of malt beverages and wine. This is for 1700 Noonan Crossing Boulevard East. The reason for this is a new business. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to come forward to speak? You don't want to come forward, but you're here representing. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. So seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing, ask Ms. Megan if everything's in order. It is. So I'll ask for a motion on the issue.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. We approve the application as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next is a resolution setting qualifying fees for the 2023 general election. You have this resolution before you. Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. We adopt the resolution as presented, setting the qualifying fees for the 2023 general election. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Under unfinished business, this is the second and final reading for the ordinance to provide the adoption of a budget, its execution of that fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2023, and ending on December the 31st, 2023. Is there a motion that we adopt on the second and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, we adopt on second and final reading. Any discussion? All those indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 33 Ray Street, owner update and request for extension. Mr. Murray, how are you today?
Doing well, Mr. Mayor and Council. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yes, sir. This property was before you back in late November for a public hearing. The property was either foreclosed or being on the process of being in foreclosure at that point. A 30-day resolution was given to either repair or demolish the structure. That property has been sold since that time to SKF Jake LP or Searchers Capital. And we do have a representative from Searchers Capital here today, Mr. Brandon Escobar, who has been kind enough to join us from all the way from Houston, Texas. So we appreciate that. They have done quite a bit of work to the property since they took over. They've cleaned up. There was a considerable amount of debris around that property that they've removed. They've cut back the weeds and the overgrowth, and it looks presentable, but there's still a lot of work to be done to this property, and he wanted to address you today to inform you at least of what he knows now about his plans for the property and a timeline to complete that work.
Sure, if you come forward and state your name for the record, please.
Good afternoon. It's my first time before council, so bear with me, right? So my name is Brandon Escobar. I'm from Houston. I work for Searchers Capital. We're a hard money lending firm, and what we did is we gave an investor a loan for this property, and we're not really sure what contractor he used for this property. Now, when I came in, because he defaulted, so we foreclosed the property. We took it over. We now own it. I went in. I took a look at it, I went in with a contractor, and what happened was all we wanted to do is to get the property in so we could sell it, either wholesale it or just to get it on the retail side. So I went in with a contractor, and we initially saw is just half-in subflooring. So all we wanted to do is replace the subflooring, so we just got a bid to replace subfloors, repair the foundation, and a bit of sheetrock. So that's originally what we did, and so our plans with the property is to finish that small portion of the job, which is adjusting the foundation, putting in some subfloors, and seeing if we could wholesale it like that. So with that being said, we would want an extension of about 180 days, if possible, just to get it either wholesale. Well, we're going to give it an option of about a month, and if we can't do that, then we're going to try to finish it, rehab it, and retail it like that.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I mean, was it gonna take 180 days to actually complete all the work or just sell the property?
No, so we want 180 days to try to sell the property. I
Right.
think
So to me, I'm more concerned with them repairing the property and then selling it. That's the big deal. So how long is it gonna take to repair, to make it where it fits our standard?
So to repair at the point that we're at, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. I'd say 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
So 120 days to repair.
Mhm.
Okay, because that's what the, the code offenses are, because it's not because it has not sold, it's because it needs to be repaired.
Right.
So that's what you need to cure, the code offenses.
Yeah, so what we want to do is just, do as minimal repairs as possible and then wholesale it, right? And then once we get rid of it, then the other person would be in charge of that.
Mr. Murray, will the minimum repairs get it past code inspection?
As far as,
Well, I mean, we've kind of had that issue come up with several properties now. I think they can get the exterior looking, presentable in 120 days. All the siding is gonna have to be repaired or replaced, probably the roof. There's a number of issues there. I mean, 120 days should be enough time to do that. As far as completing the entire project, there's still a lot of work to be done on the inside, so that, I guess, would be, we would like to see it finished through to completion, but, I think to be presentable from the street curb appeal, 120 days should be able to resolve that. But again, that may be your
That's
body's property, how far you want to take it.
Yeah, and I'd love for it to be all the way done, but
Right.
I don't know who's gonna buy it without it being completed, so at least it gets the exterior where everything's
Right.
finished. And then I'm sure some buyer's gonna be aware of whatever's existing hanging with it, right?
Yeah, I think, and what Mr. Shell may be leading to, and I agree, is that what we don't want to have is it get wholesaled and then into the marketplace, and then another buyer come along and ask for another 180 days to finish the interior, to be able to live in it. We want the house CO ready. So that means code violations cured. So that's what we're looking for, rather than a situation where you just get it ready to wholesale. Because in that price range, it's going to be difficult to find someone who is going to be an owner-occupier to come in and say, okay, I'm going to invest another $30,000 in finishing the property after they've bought the property.
yeah, so what we have estimated is about 60,000 to finish the whole job.
Right.
60 to 70,000.
Okay.
And then that would entail 3 to 4 months.
So,
I don't know what to say as far as.
So are you, so I'm clear, we're asking for it to be finished to occupy.
right,
All right.
I'm asking for a CO.
Yeah, so,
And I'd give them 180 days for the CO if that's gonna make a difference, because that gives them 120 to make it where they wholesale and then sell it, but at some point in time, it's gotta be finished.
Correct.
Yeah.
So is that a motion?
I'd make a
so would the motion
for
be for 180 days for it to be CO ready to sell?
Yeah.
That would be the motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
And this may be for our staff, but, in this situation, is getting it CO, I mean, I'm trying to differentiate here, if there is a difference between curing their actual code violations versus a complete gut rehab. Because that's what it sounds like we're asking them to do.
it.
Is there a difference?
I don't know. We have had situations that we have released the resolution prior to the house actually receiving a CO. I think it's happened 2 or 3,
Springs.
Spring Circle.
Not Spring Street,
Spring Circle, wasn't it?
yes.
I know we did one on Smith Street, Greenville Street a few years back, but most of the times before they complete this program, they are CO ready. That has been the,
Yes,
that
that's
has been the common
typically the
practice,
standard we look.
to get them through to CO ready.
Well, and that's the point, because we want the house to be occupied. We don't want the house to continue to sit vacant. So if all they do is cure the code violations and that doesn't get them to a CO, the house is still sitting there vacant.
Well, I think regardless of your motion, I think it is, the critical issue is the time that's given, because the resolution is going to state the same.
Right.
And you're going to consider what progress has or has not been made at the end of that 180 or whatever number of days that you decide to give him. So he knows he's on the clock, and he knows if he tries to wholesale it for 180 days and he makes no progress, there's a good chance you're going to execute the resolution.
Right. Sure.
So
All of those things can happen inside
that is
of
correct.
180 days.
That is correct.
Okay, so I have a motion for 180 days to get CO ready. Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion on this? Any other comments? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carried. Thank you. Appreciate you being here today. The next, we're moving into visitors' petitions, communications, and complaints. The next item is a request from Foundation Church to close West Washington between Brown Street and Jackson Street on April the 7th for Good Friday celebration. You have this letter in your agenda from Mr. Walton, with Jason Walton. And I think we're probably here today to answer any questions you may have. I know there have been some questions from the neighbors of that area. So, Mr. Alexander?
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of the council members have received phone calls, emails, and one of the concerns, sir, is First Baptist is having their Good Friday service just right down from you. Last year, they said it interrupted their service, or they could hear the music, how loud it was. Another concern was parking. What some have suggested is maybe can you relocate somewhere else, or I know last year your church was under construction, but is there room towards where your location is that you could hold this event? I know also Central Baptist will be holding Good Friday services, which is right around the corner. So have you given any thought to that, or can we discuss that?
Yes, sir. We do, I don't know, 140 plus events a year outside of the walls of 6 Perry Street. And all of those are to support other people. And so we only do one a year that's really our thing. And unfortunately, COVID didn't allow us to do it in 2020. 2021, we actually opened Base Camp before we even owned it to be the distribution center there during the tornado. And so we canceled everything other than we had an Easter gathering at the Wadsworth and didn't have any other gatherings outside of that. So we kind of missed 2 years. We go back to 2019 and we were on South Court Square, which is where we would honestly love to have it, but moved it to that particular place. We had it last year because we thought, I think it was actually y'all's request for us to move it over that way. And so for sure, our intent is not to bring any frustration, harm, or disrespect to First Baptist or Central Baptist or anybody else, much whether it's a church or, a business. Also hoping that we can find a way, in particular Good Friday, for the movement that we're attempting to create of Jesus followers. It's a little different for us. Obviously, I believe it takes all kinds of churches to reach all kinds of people. And so we do something quite different for Good Friday. And while I would love to be as flexible as possible, it would be great to have our request honored in some fashion, specifically around the square. We do events at Greenville Street Park, First Avenue Park, Lynch Park, the pool, fairgrounds. We try to utilize as much of the city as possible. I'd love if we could come up with a few things. For instance, I know there wasn't any complaints in terms of noise or parking when it was on South Court Square. All the feedback was really positive. It was just, I think at the time, if I remember correctly, the movies were just constantly shutting down. The the streets, and it was, hey, we're going to kind of chill on this moving forward. So I'd love an opportunity to go back there and to see if we could accommodate both the other churches as well and make it work. We can flip where the stage is so that all the sound is pointing away from them. And then we can also promote, because since we do own parking down, here in the downtown square area, we can go ahead and set up a parking map, which we've never done before, since it will be closer within a block of us, and kind of move people that way. We also have a parking team that runs 7 parking lots on Sunday mornings, because we wanted to make sure we were good neighbors with our friends at the Presbyterian Church. We can bring that team in to work that also and make sure that we're helping steer parking on that particular side of the square. I would love to give it a shot, and then to reevaluate it after this year, and maybe it's, hey, you tried your best and we still can't come to an accommodation, if you'd be willing to consider it.
You mentioned Greenville Street Park. Is there a reason why, we built those parks for gatherings.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason why you wouldn't consider Greenville Street, just because?
Well, we do events at Greenville Street already. We would just like to do something different than what we typically do. And probably the same draw, I would imagine, that we do market days. Like the square just has something a little more magical about it, I think, for people that love the downtown area. There's just something a little more significant with it. So the same motivation that anyone else would have of saying, hey, we would like to have it on this particular piece of property and real estate in downtown area.
Well, okay, so you're asking at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, and the section of West Washington Street there from Jackson to Brown, there are at least a half a dozen or maybe more businesses.
Yes, sir.
On that street. Have they been contacted? I know in the letter you say you will, but that might be a big day for them.
Yes, sir. So the 2 previous times that we've done it, we made sure that they were bought into what we were doing before the event before the date showed up that the event ran. So that won't be an issue on our end. In terms of our outreach strategy and supporting small business, we try to have a really great relationship with every single small business on the square. When it comes to low-income public schools and small business owners within the 12-block district of the square, those are our 2 focus for outreach. And so there's probably not a single business owner we wouldn't do anything that they needed us for. And so I wouldn't imagine it would be an issue, but obviously it's their space, so.
Right. Well, what's the council's pleasure here? I think we need to do some more.
And again, I don't think we need to
diligence.
necessarily, if the feedback from First Baptist is, hey, this past year, this was not good for us, then for sure, I think, why not go back to where we know it did work on South Court Square? And then that helps their issue, and it shows that I'm respectful and for sure am not interested in stepping on their toes. And we can go back to where we know for sure it already worked, because they were doing Good Friday gatherings in 2019, Central and First Baptist, and there were no issues then. It was just the movies that created it for the following year, which ended up getting canceled anyway because of COVID. But
I tend to agree with you on this, that I think we need to do a little more due diligence. I think that the feedback from First Baptist and has been pretty clear, because I got quite a few emails and calls about it. But to your point, I think that before we would approve something now for South Court Square, we need to advertise it and let the business owners have their say. Sure. About how they feel about it being in that spot on South Court Square again. I think that's only fair.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wouldn't be opposed to tabling this until that outreach can happen.
So in terms of the outreach, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Should we just go grab letters from them? Would that be doable? Because I think that's what we've done in the past, is we've gotten letters or gotten them to sign something just saying, hey, it wasn't. And that's fine with us. That's what we've done the previous 2 years.
Want to do. I'm more thinking about what the city is supposed to do,
Okay.
Which is we need to have it on an agenda saying that it's being, and advertise it to the public so that, because right now those business owners, if they looked at our agenda, they were like, oh, well, they're doing it over there.
Sure.
And aren't paying attention to it right now.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think they need to have it on another agenda so they have the opportunity to come before us and say, or call us and do all the same things that First Baptist did.
Sure.
So that's what I would suggest.
Agree.
And I agree, and one of the things, closing the South Court Square, it affects the businesses on the South Court Square, but it also affects businesses all around, because people will park on the South Court Square, but they might go shop on the North Court, or east to west, vice
Yes, sir.
versa. So that's just a concern, and it's a Friday. We're talking Friday from literally all day, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it's virtually shutting it down.
Yes, sir.
I do ask, though, that you do look at Greenville Street Park. I mean, look at that, it's a contingency, because it's a beautiful park. That's what we built it for. There's plenty of parking over there. And high traffic area where, I mean, people will see what's going on to stop if they want to.
In terms of the benefits that, say, a market days or something like that, what are those benefits that we could attempt to reach? Because it seems like there's a recurring schedule of things that close South Court Square. What are those things that we could achieve to make it to where this is a doable, and we see this as advantageous to both the city, the businesses? Because, I mean, it gets closed fairly often. So what are those things that we would need to do to bring it to that level?
I mean, market day is, you talking about on a.
That was just one example, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
like this, is that you meant the Saturday today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Well, I
it
mean-
really doesn't affect the
They close about 2, don't they? From like, they shut down from about 7 in the morning to about 2 in the
That's right.
afternoon, isn't it? Something like that.
Those businesses are.
I mean, and so you're not taking up as much of the, to me, the activity day, which a lot of the restaurants are afternoon and evening, so I don't know, I just have concern shutting down the whole thing for that long, which is effectively all day.
So, and I know we're not giving you much guidance here, but we're asking you to go back and use your imagination to come up with some other options other than what you presented here in the letter. I think is basically what we're saying to them. Is there any objection to that
No, I mean,
comment? Okay.
So the-
A quick question for you, if I might. You want it from 10 to 10, so a 12-hour block. Again, maybe in the thinking this out, kind of brainstorming this thing out, is reducing those hours, maybe not starting at 10 a.m., you know what I'm saying? And that might help facilitate some discussions with the businesses, I don't know. Again, but to their point, you know, a lot of the restaurants are evenings, afternoons and evenings, so it would still be getting into that. If you'd like to speak, come on up to the.
Yeah, so in 2019,
We can't hear you.
If you'll come forward
Yeah, so.
and
in
state your name
2019,
for the record, please.
Jason Walton.
Thanks, Jason.
In 2019, we came to you guys for the same thing, and we amended the time, and we shifted it, I think, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. At you guys' request, to get past the lunch hour and to get past some of that, you know, that high peak traffic time on Fridays. And we were able to adjust what we needed to do by having the sidewalks instead of the parking. And so when we had the sidewalks to put gear on and to stage things, it was easier for our team to just set it all up starting at 2 o'clock. It was easier for the officers to get cars off the streets and those kind of things. And we worked with Main Street to utilize their signage and some of those other things to make I think it was 2 p.m. if I remember right, and adjusted that. And so we're obviously, like we've said, we're flexible, but in 2019, we didn't go that 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We did last year though, because it was the smaller section, at the place where you guys requested. So 2019 though, the history that we did on South Court, we did amend it. So, there's not much that our team can't accomplish. We're just trying to be amiable to everybody else.
I have,
So are you looking, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I applaud your efforts to reach the community. I think it's great. But back to the Greenville, Park, if your intention and the results that you're attempting to get, I think you mentioned that the change of venue, you still get kind of the same amount of people and the same people, correct? Did I hear you correctly?
No, sir, I don't think I said that.
Okay. Well, let's just say, so you're reaching out, let's just say you did something a little bit, you wanted something different and unique in the community, and this is your event specifically. But you could come up maybe with some creative ideas as to use Greenville Park to facilitate something unique and different for you. It's just the same venue, but a different presentation for you, i.e., for example, some food trucks, whatever your program and idea is to make that draw. Doesn't, I understand the uniqueness of downtown, but there's also the uniqueness of Greenville Park. So if the intent is to reach and outreach as a desired result to spread the word and touch people's lives through ministry, then it still can be unique to you in a Greenville type setting. That's just I'm just throwing that out there as in like something to chew on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just as a point of clarification, so is your ask for us to forget about the square and not do any of the work, or was the ask to attempt to do the work? Because I thought it was go see if the businesses will buy in, see if that's doable. But then Mayor Brady, I thought it seemed like you were saying, hey, you need something completely different.
If the businesses will buy in on Court Square, I don't know that I have a problem with it, but what I would like to see you do is come back to us as soon as you can at our next meeting, if that's possible. It's 2 weeks from today, with maybe 3 options that work for you, so that we can look at those and see what we think is the best for the area and for the neighbors in the area. And I'm not sure that we'll have one option where everybody's happy, quite frankly. But at least having a couple of options, or maybe it's just 2, not 3. But, I mean, council have any comment on that?
I agree with the two or three options. I mean, then we can kind of look at everything and figure something out.
I know that's a lot of work to ask, but.
I like that. I still think that we have to deal with this request we've got before us, though, so are we gonna table it, or are we gonna
Yes,
push them out?
Table it.
You made,
Okay.
I didn't have a second, though.
Okay, so I make a motion, we
Okay.
table to a date certain to our next meeting.
Second.
All right, so we have that motion, and a second. Any discussion on that?
I think, I don't have a problem, honestly, going back to South Court Square, maybe the reduced hours,
Sure.
12 hours or 10 hours or whatever, as long as you've talked to everybody up
Yeah.
there and being courteous of their business.
Yes, sir.
Because that is, Fridays is a big day for business.
And might I make one more request? For sure, we checked in with churches on the square last year after our event and got great feedback. So if you happen to talk to someone from them, maybe ask, if you would be so kind to say, hey, have you had a chance to talk to Foundation yet? And just, have you expressed your concerns? Because for sure, Jesus gives me a very clear directive to be a good neighbor. And so if someone thinks that I'm attempting not to do that, I'd love to figure out a way to remedy that situation.
We're with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We're with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I had a motion and a second, and then I had a comment. Are there any other discussions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried. That ends our regular agenda. We do have Mr. Sears nodding his head to me. I have a hand in the back, though, off agenda item.
Yes, it is.
Yes, if you'd come forward before we go into executive session, that would be good. And our executive session, Mr. Sears, is legal?
Legal.
Okay. Mr. Kirkco, your first act in just a second.
Good
Yes, ma'am.
afternoon,
If you'll state your name for the record.
Belinda Gibbs.
Thank you.
Okay. It's an honor to be here today. I wanted to stand up here and voice concerns for the chalk level community. I grew up in the chalk level community and attended schools in that area. I attend a historical church there on Pinson Street, 54 Pinson Street, Mount Vernon First Baptist Church. And as I go down the Pinson Street, I see several homes that are in need of repair. Some of those homes haven't had repair even before the stone came through. For an example, there's one that sits on the hill. It's a purple house. It's bolted up, but I cannot get the address. I was trying to get it but it's right on the top before you get to East Broad Street.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're
it's
going
the
back through
purple
town.
We know the purple.
Okay, also there's a home, a Masonic Lodge at 3 Johnson Avenue. There's a home that was impacted by the storm at 51 Pinson Street. And
Is
also
that
a home that was purchased some time ago on 9 Johnson Avenue. It has not had anyone living there since the purchase of the home. It sits in the back, the property is in the back of our church. It hasn't been cleaned since they purchased the home. The home is in need of repair on the outside. All of these homes look like they need repair. They probably need repair on the outside and inside. And I would just like to see someone from the Planning Commission or the code enforcer to voice concerns to these homeowners, property owners.
We appreciate you being
And
here.
if they are not willing to do what they're supposed to do, I would like for the city to take over and possibly demolish these properties. That's my concern.
We appreciate you being here today. We take these items very seriously, as you can see from the discussion we had on 33 Ray Street. Your appearance here today and calling out those addresses puts them automatically onto the list. The staff's going to turn over to the code enforcement officers, and they will visit those properties and see what we need to do. Don't hesitate to call the city if you've got any other properties, addresses that we need to consider.
Okay.
Because we take code enforcement very seriously.
Okay,
We thank you for being
thank you
here.
for listening.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Kritko, or
Yes,
Mayor
Mr. Mayor.
Pro Tem Kritko.
I move that we now enter into closed sessions allowed by OCGA, Section 50, TAC 14, TAC 4, and pursuant to advice by the city attorney for the purpose of discussing legal, and that we in open session adopt a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor or presiding officer to execute an affidavit in compliance with OCGA, Section 50, TAC 14, TAC 4, and that is bound to ratify the actions of the council taken in closed session and confirm that the subject matters of the closed session were within exceptions permitted by the open meetings law.
Second. Motion is second. We go into executive session for legal. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign. Thank you. We're adjourned and going into executive session.